Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ IAS English channel. My name is Shubham Sagar. Today we have to talk about this particular case, PUCL versus State of Maharashtra. Why this particular case is in news, Then what does PUCL stands for? And PUCL, People's Union for Civil Liberty, if I'm not wrong, again I'm giving you the answer. So who formed this particular non-profit organization? And I will give you a hint. This particular guy and awesome personality was responsible for raising his voice against Indira Gandhi during emergency. So if you know that personality, you can post the name of the person who formed PUCL. Then this particular case, PUCL versus State of Maharashtra rather, deals with which particular, situation or a scenario. We have to talk about that. In this particular scenario, in this particular news, why is Assam involved? So again, if you talk about the stakeholders in this particular news, you have PUCL, you have Maharashtra, and then you have Assam. For understanding all these things, let's have a look at this article which published in Hindu, February 26, 2025, page number 1. Supreme Court reserves verdict on whether Assam followed norms for police encounter. So now some things will be getting cleared, and then there will be other things which will be getting cleared once we move on in this particular news. So this PUCL versus State of Maharashtra case of 2014 is associated with police encounters, and in that particular case, Supreme Court issued 16-point guidelines which has to be followed. We have to look at those 16-point guidelines because UPSC or any other exam, so to say, can make question on those 16 points, and they can take some of these 16 points, or they can even ask you these points in means GS3 internal security. So we have to talk about all these things. We have to talk about encounter killings and how is Assam government involved here. Here there will be word which will be coming. PIL. Assam government objected to a PIL which was filed against Assam government because more than 170 encounters have happened in Assam, and a third party has filed a case that all these encounters, they are not following the guidelines, or most of these encounters, they are not following the guidelines which has been elucidated in PUCL versus State of Maharashtra case. And that's what we have to understand. Supreme Court 2014 judgment mandated independent investigation in almost all police encounters which led to death or grievous injury. So, and again, there are other points also, we'll talk about it. And you don't have to mug up all these 16 points related to PUCL versus State of Maharashtra case. Just try to understand it. That will help you in eliminating option if they ask questions related to that. They can even ask you a straightforward question on PUCL versus State of Maharashtra that it is associated with encounter killing, and then they will give you health, education, etc, etc. Fine. So Solicitor General argument. Again, there are different terms here. Public interest litigation. It was introduced during the period of who was the Chief Justice of India at that time? Was he P.N. Bhagwati or somebody else? If you know it, again you can post it. What is PIL? Now, Solicitor General. So Indian government and Attorney General, they represent Indian government, and beyond Attorney General, you have Solicitor General. So second judicial person who will be representing Government of India in different cases. Now, again, there is a question here. That Attorney General, that is a constitutional body. Under which article? If you know it, you can post it in the comment section. Now, the question here is, and again, keep it interactive. The more you answer these questions, the better you will become. And that's how you extract information from a particular article. So, Solicitor General, which kind of a body it is? It is a constitutional body or a statutory body or neither of these. Again, if you know it, you can post it in the comment section. So, Solicitor General of India, Tushar Mehta, he is representing Assam in this case, and he is saying that no sir, Assam government in this scenario strictly followed all the 16 guidelines which has been elucidated in PUCL versus State of Maharashtra case. Then petitioner allegation. So petitioner and the third party petitioner has been represented by advocate Prashant Bhushan, who is actually a very good advocate, and he's one of the founding figures of Aam Aadmi Party. And again, so many things are associated with Prashant Bhushan. Some good, some not so good. Again, we'll not go there. So let's focus on the case. So they are saying, or this Prashant Bhushan sir is saying that Assam authority violated the PUCL judgment and 16 mandatory guidelines. We'll see those guidelines, and independent investigation has to happen. The counterpoint which was given by Solicitor General was, Prashant Bhushan is saying that some, these encounter killings are not justified. You are not following the 16-point guidelines. We'll see that those 16-point guidelines, and this is extrajudicial in nature, this encounter killings. This is you are bypassing the law when you're doing these encounter killings, and we want an independent investigation. Now, Solicitor General, he will give a point that these independent investigation will, undermine the morale, because when we talk about Assam, I have been in Assam, I have lived in Guwahati, Bhangagarh and Silchar. So the situation was very fragile few years back, not now, Ulfa and everything. I will give you one anecdote when we'll talk about that scenario, that people who live in, okay, we'll talk about it in few moments from now. Let me tell you right now only. So I went to different villages near Guwahati. So people who are even prosperous right now also, they live in very modest looking huts and everything. They are not making big homes, because earlier what used to happen was Ulfa people, they will come looking at your house and they will demand ransom from you. That used to happen a lot. So again, Solicitor General is saying that when you're doing these things, when you put too much pressure on the forces, that can undermine their morale. Prashant Bhushan sir is saying that, dude, if independent investigation happens, how will it undermine morale? Because if they had nothing to be fearful about and everything has been done according to the 16-point guidelines of PUCL versus State of Maharashtra, then they should not be worrying about anything at all. If they are worrying about something, then that means something has gone wrong, or they have not followed some of the 16-point guidelines. Fine. So Bhushan alleged that FIRs were filed against victims, people who were sufferers of this encounter killing. Not everybody was killed. Some, most of the time you will be killing them on the legs on the pretext that they are running away or, self-defense, etc. So he is saying that FIRs, instead of being filed against these police officers who are doing these encounter killings, you are filing against the victims who suffered these encounter killings. Victims reported being shot in the legs by an encounter specialist. See, if 170 odd encounters happen, I will just tell you what Prashant Bhushan is saying, and they are following a particular definite pattern. Most of the cases you are shot in the legs, and in most of the cases you have someone who has been labeled as encounter specialist, then that means something is wrong. That means something has been done. Encounter killing has been done with a, earlier described motive. Again, hope you're understanding what we're discussing here. So suggesting a deliberate pattern. That is what Prashant Bhushan is saying. Now let's try to understand the 16 guidelines laid down by Supreme Court in this PUCL versus State of Maharashtra. That is important. You don't have to mug up all these 16 points. Just have a look at it. So any intelligence, if police officers and people, they are getting any intelligence regarding criminals, so they should be recording this tip off in writing or electronic format. Self-defense justification. If you are doing, if you kill someone, or you return back, or you shot at someone in self-defense, and you have to prove it. You have to prove it that that actually was the case, and you are just not making this up. Second point. Third point, filing of FIR after an encounter death, and not only death, even in the case of grievous injury. If grievous injury happens to a victim or a person or a murderer, we don't know. So then FIR has to be filed, and not against the victim but against the police officer. That's what they are saying. In the case of death or grievous injury of the person, the victim in this scenario who suffered encounter. So independent investigation, CID or police team from another district must investigate, and this is a bone of contention in this PIL, which has been filed by a third party and who is represented by Prashant Bhushan. A judicial magistrate must conduct an inquiry. You can have a look at it. NHRC and SHRC should be involved, and we have talked about it. We'll talk about it in other articles also. How NHRC, SHRC, they are like toothless tiger. Nobody listens to them. A very sorry state to be in. Again, medical examination, the post-mortem must be videographed and reports should be preserved. So these are some guidelines. You don't have to remember it. Just have a look at it. 16-point guidelines. They can ask you associated with which particular Supreme Court case. You have to remember PUCL versus State of Maharashtra. PUCL stands for what? You have to remember that. Who found PUCL? You have to answer that in the comment section. 8th point, victim's family must be heard. Statement from victim's family must be recorded. Report submission, investigation report must be sent to the competent court. Legal action against guilty officers, and you should not give them promotions, which happens a lot because of public pressure that, yay, you did a great thing. He should be, encounter should be done. There is a public perception regarding that. We'll talk about it. So officers involved in encounter should not be rewarded until the investigation is complete. Some people are like, some police officer, I did 70 encounters. I did 90 encounters. They take it as badge of honors. So do you think that is actually a very good thing to do? We should be taking how many encounters I did as a badge of honors, or do you think, no sir, this is extrajudicial in nature? This is not right in all scenarios, but let's say we catch Dawood Ibrahim. In that scenario, what should we do? Should we do encounter killing, or should he go through this whole process? Because there is another scenario, there is another case that economic survey in one of their, again, every year economic survey releases. So they said that average pendency of cases in our courts is around 5 years. So let's say a case involving Dawood Ibrahim comes, it will take 5 years to get resolved or to get resolved on an average. So again, should we wait for that much time? And that's why, since many people have lost faith in the judicial system with due respect to judiciary, many people feel that encounter killing is the way to go. What do you feel about it? Do you feel the same? Do you feel that yes sir, encounter killing is a badge of honor? If I become an IPS officer or this or that, I will be also wearing it as a badge of honor. So annual reports, all these points are written here. You can have a look at it. 6-month review, must review encounter cases every 6 months. Fairness in public conduct. And here they're talking about when you're training officers, you should be telling them how to encounter or handle encounter effectively, lawfully. Guidelines apply. This is important. There is no exception for any state or union territories. You know, you have some states where different laws, earlier article 317 or 371, etc. applies. Here, this 16-point guidelines of PUCL versus State of Maharashtra is applicable for all states and union territories. This is the point which you have to keep in mind. Very good. Now, let's come back to the present case. We have seen the 16 points related to PUCL versus State of Maharashtra. Now, let's see the debate which is going on in this particular case related to Assam encounters. So Justice Surikant of Supreme Court noted that PUCL judgment aimed to ensure an impartial investigation. If victims' allegations were true, the police would be held accountable that you are doing false encounters, on one pretext or the other. If the victims were actually terrorists, the police would be justified. That's what Supreme Court is saying. They have not given their verdict yet. Solicitor General Defense he's saying that only the victim family should be filing the, if they have any issues, victim family should be filing the cases, not the third party, which is happening in this PIL. PIL can be filed by third party. That is the basic attribute of PIL. So he also stated that Assam police and security forces has made significant sacrifices, bro. And when you are putting too much pressure via these PILs, etc., it will undermine their morale when you're talking too much about, investigation and this and that. So, and here there are some data to prove how vulnerable Assam had been earlier. Situation is somewhat fine now, but it goes through its own crest and troughs. Situations are very fine and then something will happen, everything will go silent. So between 1991 and 2024, Assam police lost these many personnel, 412, central forces lost 449. You can see 11,200 terrorists surrendered in Assam. So situation is vulnerable. You can understand it from these data. And that's what Solicitor General is, citing these points to say that when you are, filing these PILs, you are putting too much pressure on the forces there. Prashant Bhushan is saying that independent investigation, if they have done nothing wrong, they should not be fearful about anything at all. So if they are fearful about anything, then there is something to be feared about or fearful about, or, maybe something is wrong here. So this is what Prashant Bhushan is saying. Question: why an independent investigation would demoralize honest officer? He's trying to counter the Solicitor General point. Why I am telling you all these points? So that you can remember PUCL versus State of Maharashtra. So that you can understand this case. So that you can understand the different sides of encounter killing. Pros, cons, why it is needed, why sometimes it is done, why it should not be done, and then what is your view regarding it? Supreme Court has reserved their judgment and they are saying that they will not examine all, 171 encounters which PIL is talking about. They will just see that whether the 16-point guidelines of PUCL versus State of Maharashtra were followed or not. Oh my God. Now, based on what we have read, based on 16-point guidelines, you have this particular question in front of you. With reference to PUCL versus State of Maharashtra, you can see these 3 statements. Whatever is your answer, you can post it in the comment section. Fine, sir. And then our next question for you. Do you think encounter killings are justified? Do you think, yes, sir, we should have more encounter killings and I will do it when I become an IPS officer or something like that? So what is your view regarding it? Or do you think, sir, it happens? Sometimes people lose faith in judiciary because of the pendency thing which we just talked about, and then these encounter killing happens. So do you think it should happen, in exceptional cases, or it should become a norm? What is your view about it? This is actually a very, very, potent case for internal security, and in so many states has been faced accusations that they are involved in large-scale encounter killings. So yes, sir, your view matter in this scenario. The more you talk about this particular case, the more other people will know, or the nation would know what most of the people think about encounter killing. So yes, sir, your views matter. You can post about it in the comment section. What do you think about encounter killings? And if you want me to share this particular PDF with you along with the answer of the question which I just asked and its explanation as well, so you can join my Telegram channel, Fun Study with Shubh, because study should be fun. And our March batch has started and admissions are closing on 15th March. Prelims to interview, Sampurna batch. And these are the prices for different, types of batch, whatever you want to avail. And if you want to know more about it, you can, go in the pinned section. You will have a link, you will have the number, you can call that number, you can go to the link and you can avail these courses. You can use code SHS Live for maximum discount. Prelims and Mains Residential Program. Clear UPSC Prelims 2026. Make us proud. Get a full refund. 11,000 reward to monthly top performer. And IGP is also there. Interview guidance program is also there because this is Prelims to Interview P2I. So that's it from me. I'm looking forward to your comments. Do you think encounter killing is justified? Write it like you are an, you want to give IAS, IPS exam, you are a serious UPSC aspirant. Even if you are not a serious UPSC aspirant or, you're just watching it for knowledge purpose, do share your views. Those views matter. Fine. So I will see you soon. Take care. Be blessed. Tata. Bye-bye.